Hi everyone! Today we are covering a pretty sensitive but I feel like important conversation to be had, and that is Mikayla Nogueira and her husband Cody's sobriety journey and kind of how it's been playing out online in the past couple weeks. So we are going to start at the beginning. Now, I don't know how long ago this was, but Cody, Mikayla's husband, reportedly came to Boston from the West Coast for drug rehab. And according to Mikayla, he didn't have any belongings or family there, just himself. And he completed inpatient treatment, then transitioned to a sober living home, which is apparently a pretty standard and necessary step in recovery. It's meant to help ease you back into life while maintaining structure and sobriety. If you're like me and you're wondering what that is, it's basically a home or an apartment setup where people live whilst they're getting back on their feet after rehab. So it's not like a hospital or treatment centre, it's more like a shared space with others in recovery. And there are obviously still rules like no drugs or alcohol, but you can go to work, you can run errands, stuff like that. So it's a little bit more freedom, but you're still kind of in recovery. So it was during this phase that he actually met Mikayla and they had started dating. And from what she's shared, they have moved very, very quickly. Like from him being in sober living to moving in together very fast. I don't have any experience with addiction and I don't really know a lot of people who have been to rehab. But from what I've read online and from what people have been saying about this story, apparently that's a little bit of a red flag that they've moved so quickly from him being in sober living to then moving in together, because apparently dating right after rehab and getting into a serious relationship, moving in together, anything like that, anything that kind of makes you focus on not you 100%, generally not recommended, because you don't have a solid support system around you at this point. You know, most therapists apparently will tell you to avoid dating during your first year of sobriety altogether. And the reason why is because you're the most vulnerable. You're still rebuilding yourself, your coping mechanisms, your sense of identity. And it's very easy whilst you're healing to become codependent. So you do not want to transfer your addiction from, it could be alcohol, drugs, whatever, to being addicted to being around a person and having them validate you. Sorry guys, there's flyaways that you can see because I'm filming in front of a ring light here, but there's a light behind me and it's pointing out all my little blonde hairs that are flying away. So while Mikayla and Cody's story does seem very, very sweet on the surface, they found each other at such a hard time in his life and they moved in together and they got married, it actually raises questions about whether it was the best timing for both of them, especially Cody. This is all in the past, so you might be like, why are you bringing it up now? Well, basically Cody recently has relapsed and ended up going back to rehab. During Cody's time in rehab, Mikayla was on social media. She was drinking in Las Vegas and documenting all of that. And listen, I and no one else is saying that she has to stop living her life. But when your partner is in rehab and you're out partying publicly to millions of followers, it does feel a little bit off, especially to me. I don't think there's anything wrong with going out and having a few drinks. From what it seems like, she isn't the one with the addiction. The one with the problem is Cody. There have been videos that have resurfaced of her drinking in front of Cody before he relapsed. And keep in mind, he is an addict. Like I said, I don't have any experiences with addiction personally, but I did have a partner whose parent was an addict, and because of that the whole family didn't actually drink in front of them for years until they were very stable in their sobriety. And for me, I feel like drinking in front of somebody who is so clearly struggling, who Cody has a relapse, so he clearly is not that stable in his sobriety, I just wouldn't be drinking in front of him. It's not something I would be doing. I know she has to live her life, but I think there's also a balance that needs to be found. There's also this video of her showing like an alcoholic drink off whilst Cody is there.
There's one photo in particular where Mikayla is holding an alcoholic beverage in front of Cody.
Which, if he's been sober for years, I'm sure he'd be fine with that, but he is so clearly struggling. He has relapsed. So maybe reconsider stuff like that, at least posting it, because I don't think it's that great. Now, the big issue actually only happened when Cody had gotten back home from rehab. So Mikayla put him straight on social media immediately in a sponsored post, no less.
A few months ago, I shared that my wedding rings no longer fit me, and Cullen Jewelry reached out to us to work together to create my dream wedding rings. I am literally so excited to open it.
I can't wait.
It was so incredible to work with Cullen Jewelry. They had an endless amount of options and they walked me through every step of the ring design process. It was so seamless, so smooth. And when I tell you, this is literally like the rings of my dreams, rings I could have never imagined having in my life. So I am so excited to open these.
I feel like I need to repeat what I've just said because to me this is crazy. A man who has just got back from rehab a couple days ago is featured on a sponsored / brand deal post, which millions of people are going to see days after coming home.
Get ready with me to visit my husband in rehab. Today, my husband Cody comes home from rehab to create my dream wedding rings.
Cody had only been home from rehab for 3 days before she filmed this ring video. Mind you, this is his first time since December living in this home. He's out of rehab. And what is she doing with him? Filming content.
Most people in early recovery need space. They need their privacy. They need time to breathe. And instead, he's just thrown into the TikTok spotlight again. And whether he has agreed to it or not, it just doesn't feel right. But I think the even worse thing is what the sponsored post was about. So Mikayla has said in the past that when Cody proposed to her, he sold his only possession, which was his beloved truck, to buy her engagement ring. That is like a super sweet thing because like we've said before, he had no support. He has no family or friends nearby, so to sell his only possession because he wanted to marry her, to propose to her that much, that is so sweet. Such a lovely story. But recently, after Mikayla lost some weight, the original ring didn't fit her anymore, and instead of resizing it, which is pretty normal and easy, she ended up getting a brand new ring from a company named Cullen Jewelry. And they reached out, although some people have said that maybe her team reached out to to come to an agreement, and offered her a free dream ring in exchange for an unboxing video. So this is the same unboxing video where Cody is just sat there, just coming back from rehab, and a lot of people did feel like it was tacky and disrespectful to replace this super sentimental ring with a sponsored one right at such a vulnerable time in Cody's recovery. And I think a large part of the criticism isn't that she got a nicer ring, it's about the meaning behind the original. Her husband gave up everything for it, and now it's being swapped out publicly, mind you, for brand deals. And many felt it was kind of like a slap in the face to Cody. It was a little bit of a gross move, especially considering what he's currently going through. Mikayla defended this by saying that they designed it together, but people actually pointed out that if Cody was in a stricter rehab facility, he might not even had much or any phone access. Plus, when you're in early recovery, shopping for rings should not be the focus. So either way, there's a lot of backlash coming to her about this ring. And that's kind of it. That's kind of the current controversy. There is some stuff going on with her makeup brand, which I might cover in another video, but I'm kind of waiting for her to respond to it. But thank you guys so much for watching. Please like, comment, subscribe, and I will hopefully see you in another video. Okay, bye-bye.